Hello and welcome to another episode of the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast, powered by StatRoute, the best site for your fantasy stats research. My name is Ryan Skullroot, and as you can probably tell by the voice, I'm a little bit under the weather, but I did want to make sure, it's been about a week, I want to make sure we got an episode in, kind of go over kind of our thoughts on the news, give a couple of announcements on what's still going on with the website. And as we get closer to the NFL draft, when this episode airs on Thursday, it will officially be 4 weeks, 28 days until round one of the NFL draft. And to prepare, to my wife's chagrin, I will be watching Draft Day with Kevin Costner just about every day for the next month or so. So to get beyond that, a couple quick announcements. We are going to be pretty soon putting up the pre-sale for our draft kits. Right now, we are working on brainstorming, trying to figure out exactly what all is going to be in them. We have a good idea of how we want to structure it. So once we have that done, we will put up a pre-sale. We are going to do a PDF version, a one-time download that you guys can download and just have on your computers. And then we will also be doing a version that will be on the website that will be continually updated depending on injuries, rankings, things that change that you can't necessarily find when you download the PDF. The PDF obviously is going to be much cheaper than the live version that'll be able to be refreshed all the time. So, but just to let you guys know, that's where we're at with that. I hope you guys continue coming to the website with all these draft profiles that we have been putting out. It's been amazing to see how much you guys have been loving these. The traffic on the website's been phenomenal. I want to thank you guys for supporting us and for the fact that you guys actually appreciate what we're trying to do to help you guys out with, especially with your dynasty leagues. For those of you that play dynasty and are trying to know what's coming from these guys in the NFL draft, we're in the process of pumping out as many of these draft profiles as possible. I want to say we've got about 30 of them on the site so far, and working to get more. So. I think that's it. So what we will do, it's going to be a little bit, again, my throat's a little out of it tonight. So we'll basically just kind of cover some of the news from the past week. And then we'll call it a night. But again, thank you guys for taking the time to listen, and let's go ahead and get into the headlines.
Today's headlines.
All right. Well, what we're going to start off with is talk a little bit about Geronimo Allison has signed a one-year deal with the Packers worth $2.8 million, included a $750,000 signing bonus. I like Geronimo Allison. I think he's a very talented receiver if he can stay on the field. It's kind of the same issue that the Packers were having with Randall Cobb, who is now with the Cowboys. But if Allison can stay healthy, he is a guy who can put up really good numbers in that offense with Aaron Rodgers throwing to him. A great secondary option behind Davante Adams. So definitely a guy to watch, possible sleeper coming into this season, again, depending on if he can stay healthy. On Dynasty news and NFL draft news, there's a guy on here who is comparing. He says a legitimate comparison can be made between A.J. Green and Iowa State wide receiver Hakeem Butler. Just to kind of give a little comp, if you go to the website, skullkingfootball.com, you can actually go to the 2019 draft profiles page. You'll be able to scroll down to the wide receivers and find Hakeem Butler's draft profile. But just doing a quick thing, Hakeem Butler, let's see, he is 6'5", 227 pounds, runs a 4.48 40-yard dash, 18 reps on the bench press. Compare that to A.J. Green, 6'4", 210. So he's a little bit Butler's a little bit heavier, about an inch taller, but they run about the same the same 40. AJ Green, I want to say, ran a 4.5 at his combine. So definitely the size and speed is very comparable. The athleticism, we'll kind of have to wait and see. But I like Hakeem Butler. I like what he can do. Is a lot of people talk about breakout age. It's a little late. Yes, the thing about Hakeem Butler, lost his mom early in his life to cancer. Moved in with his cousins down in Texas, and just kind of had a rough go of it. Trying to get found an outlet in football, and finally was given a shot. And when he did, he was absolutely phenomenal. Averaged almost 20. I think it was right around 22 yards per reception at Iowa State his senior year. So definitely a guy worth looking at, especially in dynasty drafts this year. Pierre Garçon is weighing all options, and while he may wait to sign somewhere a bit, the Chiefs are a team worth looking at. I know that the Chiefs, I believe, still have Sammy Watkins. However, they did lose Chris Connolly to the Jags, so that's again somewhere something to watch there. Not that I think that Garçon's going to do a whole lot. It is a high-powered offense, but Connolly, for the most part, was really only viable when both Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill were unavailable. So, and the big Gronk, the big announcement from this past weekend, Rob Gronkowski retiring. I can actually say I never owned Rob Gronkowski in a single fantasy league I've ever played in because he was always too dang expensive. Gronk was an absolute beast. He is an amazing character in the NFL. He should have a great career in the WWE. To be completely honest, should be a whole lot of fun to watch that. But just an absolute monster. I think he is a first ballot Hall of Famer with the amount of numbers that he put up. And to think how much more he would have put up if he could have stayed healthy. So congratulations to Rob Gronkowski. Just a phenomenal career. And many of us who are not Patriots fans will not miss you. So the Raiders are working out both Kyler Murray and Dwayne Haskins this next week. Definitely interesting. We're still waiting to kind of see what the Kyler Murray to Arizona thing is going to look like, if it's actually going to happen. I still think that it's quite strongly going. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the pick. And we'll kind of get to a little bit about what's going on there in a little while. Definitely interesting that Dwayne Haskins is another guy that they're looking at. I think that Haskins would benefit from a year or two behind Carr. And then maybe the Raiders can move on from Carr after that. So definitely interesting. And who knows? Maybe it's just lighting a fire, trying to light a fire underneath Derek Carr's butt to get a little better. More NFL draft kind of comparisons and stuff. According to Graham Barfield, Alabama running back Josh Jacobs lacks flashy stats and workout metrics. He's just he's a trust the tape prospect. Excellent scouting report on Jacobs from Graham Barfield. We've done a little bit of looking into Josh Jacobs. I have not looked at much of his tape myself. We do have a draft profile up there on the website on skullkingfootball.com from Anthony Hagee. I think that's how you actually say his last name. Sorry, Anthony, I haven't actually met you in person. We've done all of our correspondence online, but Anthony is one of our new wide receiver writers. New running back writers, and he just finished a draft profile on Josh Jacobs that is up on the website now. Make sure to go check that out. But there are some somewhat comparisons to like an Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, though, had absolutely phenomenal just workout stats. His explosiveness, his spark score were just off the charts. Josh Jacobs isn't necessarily that kind of a guy. He manages to find the holes. One comparison I've seen is that he could possibly go to Tampa Bay and be Bruce Arians' new David Johnson, which I think would be a very interesting role and could be a possibility there. David Johnson hasn't always been the flashiest, pretty quick, but definitely a guy that, Josh Jacobs could be comparable there. So GM John Lynch said running back Jerick McKinnon will be on the team past April 1st and fits into the 49ers plan for this season. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if Jerick McKinnon can stay healthy this next year. Struggled a little bit with the injuries this year, and I believe, it was an ACL. And as far as I'm seeing, he is. Let's see. He is getting ready. I haven't seen anything really, really recent. As far as I know, he will be ready for workouts and stuff coming up towards training camp. So, Agent Drew Rosenhaus says that Jay Ajayi's visit with the Colts last week went well, but obviously no agreement reached yet. Says he is maintaining discussions with the Eagles. Expects Ajayi to be ready for the start of the season. Probably not much before that, which is understandable. It's another ACL injury. I think it's interesting to see him going to the Colts, considering that they have Mack and Naheem Hines. Obviously, that's two different. They're two different characters, but I think that they play well off each other. I don't know that Ajayi necessarily fits into that, and if he does, what's the split? What would the split be between Ajayi and Mack? So, I think he'll probably stay with Philadelphia at this point. But that's just kind of what I'm looking at. The Bucks GM says that Chris Godwin can play the quote Larry Fitzgerald role. I can't really call Chris Godwin a sleeper this year. We were all over him last year. I don't know if you followed Skull King football last year, you will remember that we had Chris Godwin, I want to say, in our waiver wire pickups because he was owned in less than 50% of leagues, I believe, on ESPN and Yahoo. We had him in our pickup of the week for what, 8 out of 12 weeks, I think was the stretch. He played really, really well. I mean, for the most of the season, he was hovering right around wide receiver 25 to 30. He has a nose for the end zone. With Deshaun Jackson gone, he is the number 2 behind. Well, and Adam Humphries is gone too, who was in the slot, which is a lot of what Chris Godwin was doing, and where I think that he really excels. So with both Jackson and Humphries gone, I think that Godwin's in a spot to really excel this year. Again, I don't think you can call him a sleeper. I think there's enough people on him that his stock will rise. That you could get him at a value if you're in a league that maybe some people have forgotten about him a little bit. So definitely a guy to watch for this next season. Pat Shurmur wants to find Eli Manning's successor sooner rather than later. Look for the Giants to draft a quarterback this year, probably with that number 7 pick. We'll see which quarterback is there at that point. With Murray possibly going 1. The Oakland Raiders 4, the Giants 6. I don't see the 49ers at 2 or the Jets at 3 going for a quarterback unless they trade out of those spots. Tampa Bay at 5 probably won't take a quarterback because they've got Jameis Winston. But they may take a quarterback. Jameis Winston is on the last year of his rookie deal, so that could be the thing. They've got, Bruce Arians is a new coach there, and then you've got again the Giants at 6. And if who knows, maybe if they feel that they can wait until 17 to pick up a quarterback, or maybe use that pick to move up as well. So, I definitely, the Giants are going to take a quarterback early this draft. I would say that that's almost a foregone conclusion just because they need one. Doug Marone, getting to Chris Connolly that we talked about earlier from the Chiefs, now on the Jags. Chris's best football hasn't even come yet. Hashtag Jaguars. I think that he could excel in that offense. Again, we've got Nick Foles, new quarterback. Marquise Lee is coming back from injury. We'll see kind of how the running game plays out this year. Leonard Fournette supposedly is completely on board now. But again, we'll kind of see how the offense can kind of all come together, especially with the new quarterback. So, moving on. Brother Gruden, Jay Gruden, expects Darius Geis with his torn ACL to be back as a full go for training camp. For those of you who hadn't seen, a few weeks ago, Darius Geis has already posted videos of him running at full speed, and so he should be back, ready to go for the new season. And I hope that he can get it going. So, Pete Carroll said that Doug Baldwin will have a sports hernia surgery on April 4th. As earlier reported, he gave no real estimated time, no ETA for when Baldwin will be healthy, other than to say he has some challenges to overcome to get healthy. I kind of wonder if the Seahawks may be looking at drafting, maybe spend a somewhat early pick. Now, I think they've only got 4, and they have, what is it, like 20, the number 20 pick or something like that, which they are going to have to trade down. They're going to be collecting more picks from that, so we'll definitely see where they go. But I think I could see possibly a wide receiver being picked somewhere in those mid to late rounds with one of their picks. So, as far as Doug Baldwin goes, we'll kind of see. It's a wait and see on him to see how healthy he is going into the season. If he's not healthy like he was this past season, means great things for Tyler Lockett also. Doug Marrone, back to the Jags. Marquise Lee is expected to return late in the preseason from his ACL surgery. Again, just a lot of things going on with ACLs, just not knowing who's going to be ready when. So, something to watch for. From talking to the Redskins coach Jay Gruden, the Skins are going to take a hard look at the top quarterbacks. They have Case Keenum. I'm trying to remember how long his contract is for. All right, look at that. Okay, so he's got signed a 1-year, $3.5 million contract with the Redskins. So that is all he's got. And then they've got Colt McCoy as a backup. Who else? They've got Alex Smith, who knows if he's ever going to be able to walk again with the nasty break of his leg. So I can see the Redskins looking at a quarterback in this draft. I mean, they're at pick number 15. There's a bunch of quarterbacks in this draft. We'll have to see kind of where they're at. Kind of who's going where. There's a couple of sort of desperate quarterback situations. Let's see. So we talked about the Giants at 6, Broncos at 10, Bengals possibly at 11. We'll kind of see Andy Dalton's getting up there in years a little bit, dealing with some injuries. The Miami Dolphins at 13. They're definitely going to need a new quarterback soon because they've signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he's not a long-term solution, obviously. And then the Redskins at 15. So, there's probably going to be a quarterback available to them. We'll see what's left. So, back to, let's see. All right, to the Browns. Coach Nagy talking about Jordan Howard. Howard has a role, but the Bears are open to trading Jordan Howard. I think it would be best for Jordan Howard and for fantasy players everywhere if the Bears traded him to a better situation. They just didn't use Jordan Howard well. I mean, just running him up the gut over and over and over again, and using Tariq Cohen as just a scat back type. I mean, yeah, it kind of worked somewhat, but it didn't work for Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard was averaging like 2.5, 3 yards a carry every game. Had a couple games where was able to break some nice rolls, but when you just keep hammering him up the middle and don't let him use any wiggle around the outside, I mean, no one's going to really have a whole lot of success. So, I hope that the Bears actually trade him. It means we couldn't call him the brother bear anymore, but I think I want to see Jordan Howard traded. I want to see him in a better situation where he can be in a better spot to succeed, where a team isn't going to give up on him so quick. So, Mike Zimmer has said that he chatted with Kyle Shanahan about Kirk Cousins and came away from that conversation confident that Cousins is going to have a great season. The offense with Gary Kubiak is going to be really good for him, Zimmer said of Cousins. So yeah, we'll kind of see. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan worked with Kirk Cousins in Washington with the Redskins. It'll be interesting to see what Cousins can do with Gary Kubiak as his offensive coordinator. It'll be interesting to see who the main wide receiver that they're going to use. Kubiak is notorious for using one wide receiver almost exclusively. I mean, Andre Johnson put up monster numbers as a wide receiver in Gary Kubiak's offense in Houston. So we'll kind of see how that all plays out. It'll be interesting to see, kind of through the preseason and everything, what's going on with that offense with the new offensive system there. Officially, finally, Jared Cook has signed with the New Orleans Saints. 2 years, $15.5 million, $8 million guaranteed. And that makes that Saints offense is just becoming sick. I knew it was already sick. Let's be honest with the ability of Kamara. Now, I know they don't have Mark Ingram anymore. I would like to see who they bring in, who's going to be that kind of number 2 running back behind Kamara, so that they don't just overwork Kamara, into the ground. Although they might just use him over and over and over again. He was very successful with it at the beginning of the year. That being said, definitely interesting to see what they do there. But adding in a weapon like Jared Cook, who put up a pretty good season with Derek Carr in Oakland, if he's got a Hall of Famer in a very, very pass heavy offense throwing to him all the time, it could be a lot of fun to have Jared Cook as your tight end in this upcoming fantasy season. Doug Peterson said he is optimistic Carson Wentz will be back for OTAs. With the signing of Frank Gore, the Bills have released Chris Ivory. Former teammate of Jordy Nelson says that he will retire. That announcement has I don't know if it's officially been made. Man, Jordy Nelson, what a beast of a wide receiver. I hated seeing him come up against Seattle when he was with Green Bay. Just a phenomenal wide receiver, a lot of fun to watch, and it's sad to see that he's finally going as a fantasy player. He was a lot of fun to have on your fantasy teams in his heyday. The Los Angeles Chargers, the New England Patriots, and the New York Giants have apparently stated they're very interested in Josh Rosen. Again, if the Cardinals take Kyler Murray, it's very obviously pretty likely that they're going to trade Josh Rosen. I've heard rumors that they have gotten I want to say offered a second round pick for Josh Rosen. I don't think they would take that, or they may have to. We'll see. So very interesting seeing that. Wide receiver Jordan Matthews' production has fallen off a lot since his first 3 seasons in the league. However, Jennifer Leachin reports that 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan believes that Matthews is better now than he was before. it'll be interesting to see what Jordan Matthews can do in the 49ers offense with Dante Pettis and Goodwin, Marquise Goodwin on the outside. Jordan Matthews, he's not a burner. He's not an outside guy. He really is. He's a big slot receiver. Just too skinny to play tight end. I think that he could have a fairly decent season with a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo throwing to him. So it'll be very interesting to see what Matthews can do. I'm not drafting him. I'm not actively going to go after him. I think he is definitely a waiver wire watch guy is the best that I would give for Jordan Matthews. Sounds like the Bengals want to get an extension done with A.J. Green. As for Dalton, I think this is a wait-and-see year. Bengals think Dalton played great in September before everyone got injured, which is true. I mean, the Bengals, they just kind of all fell apart. A.J. went down. Let's see. Oh, their tight end, who they just re-signed, Tyler Eifert, went down, but he always goes down. It's just a lot of injuries. Tyler Kroft, their number 2 tight end, went down. CJ Uzomah was their main guy for over half the season as far as the tight end goes. And so we'll kind of see how that goes. And last but not least, with the Kareem Hunt thing joining the Browns, a lot of people have wondered what is going to happen in that backfield. You've got Duke Johnson, you have Nick Chubb, and now you have Kareem Hunt, who kind of clouds things up a little bit. Well, Freddie Kitchens, head coach of the Browns, former offensive coordinator, and before that, former running back coach. He insists that Duke Johnson has a role on the Browns and hints at a wishbone. Now, for those of you who don't know what the wishbone offense is, it is a very old school offensive formation where you have the line, and then you have the quarterback under center. You have a fullback or running back, either way, right behind the quarterback, and then split out behind. You have 2 split running backs behind the fullback. There are a couple different college programs that run a wishbone, and they are mainly option teams, like I want to say Navy. The military academies run those kind of offenses. Georgia Tech, I believe, was kind of an option type of offense, wishbone. So definitely interesting thing to see. We'll see if that's something that actually happens. I really think that Duke Johnson is likely to get moved. And so, but I think they'll hold on to him for now, maybe see if they can build up a little bit of draft capital for him. And then from there, maybe they move him, maybe they move Kareem Hunt. I don't know. It's more of a wait and see game. We just don't have enough information yet. So, all right. Well, that is it from me. As you can tell, my voice has almost completely disappeared. I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to the Skull King Fantasy Football Podcast. As we move forward over the next few weeks, we are probably I'm going to try to get a couple of the writers on the show, since we have a ton of writers now. As you can see, we have been pumping out content like crazy, putting out like 2 or 3 draft profiles every day for the last week and a half. So we're going to try to keep that up. So because of that, I'm going to try to get 1 or 2 of the writers on the show each week for the next couple weeks as we get up to the NFL draft, so we can kind of talk different positions, and that's going to be our main focus. We're going to focus on the NFL draft until the draft happens. Once the draft is over, then we'll start kind of moving on to, okay, how are these guys fitting into teams? How are veterans going to be affected? Right now, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't care what's going on with David Johnson or Todd Gurley or any of those players. I don't care right now. Right now, we need to focus on the NFL draft for dynasty players who want to know about the guys coming in. 2, for redraft players who are especially looking at running backs who could be that kind of late round flyer to go off of. Each year over the last few years, there has been a running back that has been drafted mid to late rounds that has just come out of nowhere. Nick Chubb, who a lot of people drafted, but he was mainly a waiver wire ad last year. Nick Chubb. Let's see, the year before was kind of Alvin Kamara, who for the most part went undrafted. The year before that was Jordan Howard. Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt was kind of a big name that we all knew to draft anyways. The year before that, we were looking at Alvin Kamara and Kareem Hunt were the same year. Jordan Howard the year before that, and David Johnson the year before that. These are guys that went late. Were expected to be backups, and by the end of the year, they were winning you leagues. So those are the kind of guys we want to focus on. So we are basically spending, like I said, the next 4 weeks focusing on the NFL draft, focusing on what team needs are. And then once we get through the NFL draft, we are really going to knuckle down and start working on draft prep for fantasy drafts, how these rookies are going to affect veterans and that sort of thing. So, again, thank you guys for taking the time to listen. We hope that you guys are enjoying the content. Like I said, we are going to push out as much as we can. Hope you guys are continuing to love the show. And we will talk to you guys again next week. Thank you so much. Hey, Skull King Nation. Thank you for listening to the Skull King Football Podcast. Did you like this episode? If so, be sure to go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube to subscribe. Also, please leave us a rating and reviews to let us know how we can better help you rule your leagues.